Marriage and family therapist Jennifer Musselman. Thank you for being here, Jennifer. I mean, it does seem like this is becoming more and more typical for families. What can we do to help this couple?
First of all, you're right. You're very normal, so congratulations. What I'm hearing a lot from Len is that it doesn't sound so much of a power struggle as much of a, I don't feel heard, I don't feel seen, I don't feel important, I feel sometimes maybe inadequate. And I don't want to speak for you, but that's more of what I'm hearing a little bit. I'm also curious, you guys have gone through some seriously traumatic events, right? The fire, the painting, the lead.
Yeah.
Right. I'm curious, just stick with me for a second. Who picked the painter out?
Oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah. And you were probably in charge of sort of managing that project.
After the fire, I was in charge of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have guilt because of that, or?
It's something, yeah, interesting. It's even more complex than that. I sent him out of town, and as a surprise, I had the painter start painting and start removing the paint when he was out of town, so he didn't even know it was happening, and that's when the boys were poisoned.
Do you know,
there's responsibility there for sure.
Do you know that it's not your fault? Do you have compassion for yourself?
Yeah, I do.
What I'm hearing is your husband really thinks that you are a hero, and I think that he needs to be the hero in your life, and he needs you to see him that way as well, and vice versa. He wants to be heard and seen and understood. And
we'd like to have you over for dinner.
He's a great cook. But I mean, we're laughing, but this is really painful, these issues and this feeling of resentment and guilt.
It's, it's hard in this environment to gush about how awful and painful it is. I mean, I just think of, but it's every day. There's a lot of stress in the house. We've got a husband who's pissed off that the 4-year-old flushed the toothpaste down the toilet, and it's his job to unstop the toilet.
The whole tube.
The whole tube, yeah.
Right.
I mean, and I have to rush off to work, and he's got to do the lunches, and it's just every morning is stressful.
All right, well, we're going to continue talking during the commercial break, and I think you have an open invitation for dinner.
Thank you.
So we'll make that happen. Coming up next, is the grass really greener on the other side? We'll meet a couple who decided on a modern-day role reversal. Their story is coming up. Coming up. And so what is it like when she's the breadwinner? Is it emasculating for you?
Well, when we got together and we started dating, I worked for her. So not really.
Say what? She was your boss?
She was my boss.
Wow, that's a whole nother show. And later, reality TV dad Dean McDermott reveals what life is really like at Tennessee Hollywood.
Our house is happy chaos.
So you're busy making babies all the time.
Busy, busy, busy. Yeah, in fact, I gotta go.
Welcome back. In a marriage, does the person with the most money really run the household? Our next guests, Jackie and Jeff, traded in their traditional roles for a rather unique situation. Take a look.
I'm Jackie. I've been married 10 years to my husband Jeff, and we have 3 kids, 8, 7, and 5.
When Jackie and I first started dating, she was actually an executive, so I've always sort of been used to her making more money than me.
When Jeff went to work and I was a stay-at-home mom, I took my job very, very seriously.
With Jackie and I, there's kind of a double standard. When I was working, it was, you better hurry up and get home. When I found myself at home, she would come home from a long day of work and check out.
I now work on the web as an executive editor, and I get a lot of positive feedback when I do a good job.
I miss work. I miss talking to grown-ups.
I also feel really disconnected because I don't get that interaction every day, and it's really difficult.
Please welcome Jackie and Jeff. Full disclosure, Jackie works with us at the show, and so you made a deal that you were going to go back to work for a year.
Well, you brought me out of retirement, Ricki Lake.
Right, it's all my fault. I feel the guilt seeping in right now.
Yeah, this is an intervention, actually, for you.
Oh no. So what was the deal you made?
Well, I think we were both... Okay, so you're already making me lead.
It was more just an opportunity, because I was finishing up a project, and then this opportunity came along.
And you work in television also.
I do, and we just talked about it and said, well, maybe now it's a good time to switch. And so we
were burnt out.
We made a plan.
We were burnt out. He was working long hours. He hadn't seen the kids in years. I mean,
And
really.
you were burnt out on your end because
I was.
you were actually jealous of him that he got 3 hours in the car by himself.
It was like,
I mean, can you relate to that when the stay-at-home moms and
are you
dads?
kidding me? It was like he was on the golf course.
Yeah, you felt like he was,
That's what it
you
felt
know,
like,
living
you know?
the high life.
He'd come home and I'd be mad, like, oh, and you had coffee by yourself? Like, you know, and I was so bitter. And he'd come home and talk about his day, and I'm like, oh, with grown-ups, that must be so hard.
So the idea was, it was appealing to you to go back to work in the beginning. It was appealing for you to maybe take some time off and be at home with the kids. Not that that's time off, but it's just a different job.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I thought it was time off because, you know, I didn't realize.
Sucker.
It's almost, it is harder. I mean, I have to say, I think I'm a better parent when I'm working. I'm better when, you know, I have that adult time, like having a real conversation.
Right.
Not that they're not real conversations with kids, but it's just different.
Yeah.
And then I get to go home and spend that quality time.
Right.
So for you, how was the shift?
Well, at first it was great because it was the end of the school year. The kids had all their rhythms down and they knew exactly what they were doing. So I was just, what do we do next, kids? They were telling me
How old are the
things were
kids?
going. 8, 7, and 5, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just taking all my cues from them.
Oh, babies.
And they and it was great. And I was like, oh, this isn't so bad, you know. And then school was out.
Yeah.
And I had to like entertain them for a summer. And boy,
Did you have a newfound respect for stay-at-home
absolutely.
Parents? And
I've done the math. It's about 3.5 times harder being at home with the kids than working a real job.
And so what is it like when she's the breadwinner? Is it emasculating for you? I know for some men it is.
Well, when we got together and we started dating, I worked for her. So not really.
Say what? She was your boss.
She was my boss.
Wow, that's a whole nother show.
I could have done worse.
That was a whole other show.
Damn, I want to know about that. All right, okay.
So that part wasn't so much. It's more being out of sync with my peers, who keep working and not being in touch with other adults, especially in my field.
I told him
Yeah.
just put on a pair of yoga
Right.
pants and man up, you know? I'm just kidding.
And so what is it like with your connection with the kids? Has that shifted now that you're sort of the full-time?
Oh yeah, that's the
constant?
silver lining. I've gotten to know them in a way I wasn't able to before, and so I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Let's talk about sex.
Oh, all right.
How's that going? I mean, as far as is there a definite shift when the roles have changed?
Yes, but it's still similar to any relationship where there's nothing sexy about being at home with kids. It's just not. I mean, you can't, you know, men like to stereotype women, oh, they're not interested, but it's just when they're spit up and there's...
So you're saying you don't feel as good about yourself when you've been taken care of?
I feel like a dad and not a husband. That's probably a better way to put it.
Interesting.
But the thing is, I don't see it that way. So that's really hard because I get it. Because that's how I was. And he'd come home and he'd think, you look hot and let's go. And I'm like, you kidding me? You haven't even like done it. I'm in the middle of laundry, like, and you haven't done anything. And I just, you know, I was resentful in that way. And now I come home and I see, you know, that he's dad, you know, and I'm like, you look sexy when you're with the kids. Like, there's nothing hotter. There's nothing hotter than a great dad.
I
and I come home and I'm like, bow chicka bow.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
I got a headache, babe.
which is
So what
very
would you like
foreign.
to change in a perfect world? How would you like to structure things?
I think part-time, really, like, you know, schedules that shift, that we can kind of both be involved with the kids. Because, I mean, not being around them every day, like, I'm the sappy mom. Like, I know I'm not doing feminism a favor, but, like, making cookies and picking up my kids from school and seeing their faces, that first interaction, and they're like, it's Mom. Like, there's nothing like it. And I don't care what you say. Like, I love my job, and I feel great doing my job, but I love being a mom, and I want to be more of a mom.
No matter what choice we make, there are sacrifices that need to be made. You know, you can't have it all. You can't. Jennifer, can you jump in? What advice do you have for this
First of all, you're
couple?
doing a great job. As a therapist yourself almost, right? A couple of things I heard almost immediately when you sat down. You said, see, you're already making me go first. You said that to Jeff, and then you caught yourself. And I thought, isn't that interesting? He didn't even have a chance to open up his mouth, and you were already saying to him, you're making me do this, and he wasn't. He just didn't have a chance. And part of me wonders if if perhaps that might come from you are clearly an overachiever, you're very active, you're very vibrant. I got a chance to see you backstage. And what happens oftentimes with couples when the woman is a breadwinner in society, we have an opportunity to, that's been accepted, that women are breadwinners. But what hasn't been accepted necessarily is that men are in the kitchen and be okay with that, or raising kids. And what happens oftentimes is that women become overcritical, hypercritical because of that, because they're still so identified to, well, but that's, I'm a woman. That means if he's as good at this as I am, then what about me? I'm the woman. That's really supposed to be my job. And hearing you talk about how important it is for you to actually be very emotionally tied to your kids is really beautiful. And it makes me wonder if a lot of that's happening for you too, when you maybe get a little critical about how he's taking care of the home.
So what can these couples do? Like, what final advice do you have for them to take home with them?
Well, the biggest thing, and this is going to sound a little corny, but the biggest thing is just to be able to empathize with each other. And the ironic thing with you as a couple is if you've been on both sides, right? But yet you both still sort of building resentment toward each other. So if you just accept that you both agreed to the situation, to the setup, and then you can start accepting the limitations of the setup.
Great advice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good luck to you guys. Something tells me you're going to be okay. Up next, switching gears, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Kyle Richards tells us who wears the pants in her house, and you might be surprised. We'll be right back. Up next, so who wears the pants in your family?
Well, my husband says, he does wear the pants in the family, but I choose which pants and which color.
We are back. The majority of working wives will out-earn their husbands in the next generation, according to a recent cover story in Time magazine. While that is great news for women, is this liberating change wreaking havoc on modern relationships? We have gathered a panel of celebrity experts to chime in. She is the star of Bravo's The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and the author of Life is Not a Reality Show. Please welcome Kyle Richards. She is an entertainment news correspondent for The Insider, Nina Parker. He is a devoted husband, father of 5, and actor. You know him from his reality show, Tori and Dean, Home Sweet Hollywood, and thegourmetdad.com. Please welcome Dean McDermott. Yay! And last but not least, please welcome actor and comedian Steve White. Thank you guys so much for talking about this issue. Now, Kyle, in your book, you talk very openly about being very traditional. So who wears the pants in your family?
Well, my husband says, he does wear the pants in the family, but I choose which pants and which color.
So how are you very traditional? I mean, I am familiar with your family because I watch your show religiously. But how would you describe it?
Well, my mom raised us to, take pride in being, a stay-at-home mom and a wife, and it's something that I really do love and enjoy, and I do take a lot of pride in that. So for me, it's, really is just going back to the old traditional values, and that's how we are in my house. And now doing this crazy, reality show, my schedule has changed a lot, so.
But you are there for every pickup, and, you structure it so that you are there.
They do work around me so that I'm able to get my kids off to school in the morning and, pick them up, and then we shoot a lot during the summer, so they're with me a lot when we're shooting, so I'm able to balance it. It's not easy, though. I mean, it's a lot of balls in the air. But
Dean, what's it like for you with your family? I mean, you are primarily the stay-at-home dad, would you say?
I'm a part-time stay-at-home dad. Fortunately, because of my schedule as an actor to begin with, I'm not a 9-to-5er, so when I'm not working, I'm with the kids. But, when the hard part is when we're both working. We have 5 kids, and, our house is happy chaos.
And if I remember correctly, you have 5 kids that are all pretty close in age. You've got those 2 little babies. How's your baby doing? Great?
Amazing. Finn
Fantastic.
is amazing. He's amazing.
And Tori's doing well.
There's Finn, who's 2 months. There's Hattie, who's a year. There's Stella, who's 4. There's Liam, 5, and Jack's 14.
So you're busy making babies all the time.
Busy, busy, busy. Yeah. In fact, I gotta go.
Ebony magazine stated that breadwinners are nothing new in the black community. Do you think that's true?
Yeah. Honestly, what they say, about 70% of black households are run by a single parent, and majority of those are women. So, if you need to know how to do it, you go see a black mama, you're good. They tell you, they'll cook the food, they'll do everything, they got you.
So, is that dynamic easier for men to get, I mean, where do men step in when it's the woman taking charge? Steve, where's your role?
Why step in at all? Chill out and relax.
That wouldn't work out.
You have 5 kids. 5 kids also?
No, that's 5 over here.
Okay,
I don't even want
5.
that. I have twins.
Okay.
I have boy-girl twins, and my wife and I. Are they identical? Is that me? That's the clan. And we made a conscious decision when we had the kids that my wife was going to be a stay-at-home mom, but never call that not working. That's a mistake, guys.
Oh, yes.
Big
You've
mistake.
not made that mistake.
That is work.
And is it hard for you, I mean, being in the limelight, do you feel like sometimes you take a backseat? I mean, I know your show is both the two of you, but I don't know, is it emasculating at all when your wife is primarily the person in the forefront?
You know, I can speak for myself, and it's not, because it is one of the most important jobs. You know, a lot of men think it's emasculating, and they measure their success by, you know, how much they earn or the job they got. And, you know, I think the greatest measure of a man is his children and how they turn out. You know, so it doesn't bother me at all.
I have to agree. I have to absolutely agree. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Up next, our celeb panel helps one breadwinner navigate the murky waters of her husband's ego. Oh boy. Don't go away. Up next.
Because guys forget things, you know. You hear stories about guys driving with beers on top of the cars, and kids in the back seat. We forget things. So we have to put our attention straight on watching the kids when we're watching the kids.
My kids are not going to your house for a play date. It's not going to happen, dude.
Welcome back. We are talking with our celebrity panel, talking about a new generation of women out-earning men and how this ultimately affects family, dynamics, sex, we haven't gotten to sex yet, and relationships. Now, Kyle, you star in this reality show that we're all fans of. You wrote a book, and you now have just opened a boutique. Yep. So is it safe to say you're the breadwinner, major breadwinner right now?
No.
Okay.
No, my husband's definitely the breadwinner, but we're both working now. And that's been an adjustment for, you know, my husband mostly, even more than my children, because I really do work around my kid's schedule, but I think it is hard for him because he's used to, you know, we'll be out to dinner, and it used to be, I'd say to him, honey, put the phone down, don't check emails, you know, this is family time. And now I'm looking, and he's giving me a face, and I'm like, well, hello, I'm not just like talking to my girlfriends about, oh, did you see the new shoes at Neiman Marcus? I'm actually doing some work stuff here.
You know, I think there's a dad revolution going on right now. You know, we're seeing a lot more stay-at-home moms and, working moms and stay-at-home dads. It's a great time for us right now. We get to have that experience with our kids that our wives and partners were having while we were off doing whatever. So it's such a great time, and we should embrace it and not see it as emasculating or let it affect your relationship or into the bedroom. It's a great time, and I think we have to just sort of train ourselves to think of it that way. It's not,
I think it's also really great for, it can be really good for your relationship too, because my husband knows that we are a team. It's not like he's just working, I'm just taking care of the kids.
It's a partnership.
We're both working, we're both having, sometimes I take all the kids to school in the morning, and sometimes he'll take 2 and I take 1. We're literally just juggling and having to be there and really feeling that sense of being a team and a partner.
You have 4 kids?
We have 4 kids.
And from 4 to 21?
24.
Oh, wow. You do not have a 24.
Yeah, I do. I
have
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God. And that's her real hair.
Wow.
And that's all her hair. It's not fair. All right, well, not to go off topic or anything. We received a video question from one of our friends of Ricki. Take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Rachel Thompson. My husband's business has slowed down incredibly. I've become the primary breadwinner and he's become the primary caregiver. And I find that when he's with the kids, he's grumpy and preoccupied, and I want him to feel good about the contribution that he's making. So I guess my question is, how do I make that happen? Thank you.
Who wants to answer that? Steve?
Well,
Dean, sorry.
Just say it's about affirmation. Say thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a muscle that women have that guys don't have. I could work a 9-hour day, 12-hour day, and it's no problem. My wife says, watch the kids for 3 hours. It's like, ah! You know, how do I do this? And I can do it, but it's because guys forget things, you know. A guy you hear stories about guys driving with beers on top of the cars and kids in the back seat. We forget things. And so, we have to put our attention straight on watching the kids when we're watching the kids.
My kids are not going to your house for it.
Only when my wife is home. If my wife is there, no problem. If it's just me, I just have to watch them. It's a muscle. So if women appreciate that, say, hey, I appreciate that. Was good.
Well, we're good multitaskers.
Which it sounds.
Exactly.
As women, we're good multitaskers.
Yeah, for a single, I'm the only single person up here, by the way, so they all got babies and families. I got a plant. So for me, it's a little different.
And you're really good at taking care of it.
So clearly I'm not maternal, but I think for being a single woman and with my friends who are also single, that's finding a weird dynamic too, because we're educated, we're career women, and you're trying to figure out, you don't have a problem if you make more than the guy because you're both going to contribute.
Well, some women do have a problem with
if we're both contributing, I'm fine with that, but I find their egos are a little bit, it's hard to figure out how to finesse this when you're dating. Because when you're married, it's a partnership, you can figure this out. But when you're dating and you're making more, how does this work, you know?
That's a good question for our expert. Jennifer, what do you think? I mean, we've all dealt with that.
It's a good weed whacker, because if someone's not comfortable with it from the beginning, how comfortable are they going to be with it 5-10 years from now? You were talking about earlier about you were a stay-at-home mom first, and then you shifted into becoming not the breadwinner, but sharing the responsibility. And it sounds like you're starting to navigate those waters, and it's working for you, and that's what it's about. So even in dating, if someone seems uncomfortable with it, maybe you're not in the same place emotionally intelligent-wise.
Or you can have, you know, a husband and wife where all of a sudden she's having to work and he's staying home, and if they're happy like that and they're appreciating, and he's appreciating that she's working and making money and she's appreciating what he's doing with these children, then great. But then when the resentment comes in, or I don't want to be the one working,
or when
so I don't have
outside
a job,
people put their opinion on it and their judgment on it,
and the stereotype that it's supposed to be the man, you know, I see that with my friends who, you know, resent having to work too, you know, and the man, you know, seems to be a little too comfortable with staying home and not working.
Right. I have to say, I have to go to break, but I was just going to say, personally, you know, I've gone through, you know, I'm now 44, and there were relationships where money was an issue, and I was the major breadwinner, and it would be, you know, the man would feel emasculated. But I have to say, I think with age and with life experience, I'm in a place now where, you know, I am the primary breadwinner, but it doesn't seem to be an issue, and I think that comes with age and coming into your own.
Absolutely, and your partner has to meet you at that same level.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great conversation. Thank you. We're going to take a quick break. Up next, which female celebrities out-earn their partners? The Insider's Nina Parker gives us the scoop right after this. Coming up.
Let's talk about the current hot young couple.
Okay.
She has said in the past that at the end of her marriage, she wasn't really getting what she needed.
What does that mean? That he was too into his career?
Yeah, it sounds like he wasn't into her as much as, you know, she's a sex pot. And
I'm into her.
You know, I was like, I'll take his place.
Me too. Celebrity couples are no exception to the fiscal trend. Entertainment news correspondent from The Insider, Nina Parker, is here to talk about celebrity women who make far more than their male partners and why it might be a curse. Uh-oh. Okay, now isn't it a little presumptuous we're sitting here, we're going to talk about these people like we really know them?
Don't you feel like you know them? They're in my TV every day.
I do, but I
know them a little bit in my head.
But now that sort of I'm on the end of people making judgments about me, you know, it's like we don't really know, but we're just going to have fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some people. Who do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the current hot, you know, young couple, J-Lo and Casper.
Oh, okay, so Casper's a dancer, right?
He's a dancer, yes.
So isn't she repeating patterns? Didn't she already,
wasn't she married? Done that. She did the whole thing with Chris Judd, and it happened. You know, but maybe she decided to go back a little bit. There is a sensitivity, I think, about someone who's artistic, who's a dancer, and she has said in the past that at the end of her marriage with Mark Anthony, she wasn't really getting what she needed. And so
what do you think, read between the lines, what does that mean? That he was too into his career?
Yeah, it sounds like he wasn't into her as much as, you know, she's a sex pot. And
I'm into her.
You know, I was like, I'll take his place. You know?
Me too. All right, what about Oprah and Stedman?
Well, they've been together for 25 years. So, you know, and Stedman, a lot of people don't know this, he has his own marketing firm. He is actually worth an estimated $10 million on his own. But, you know, compared to Oprah's $3 billion.
So But how do you think he deals with that? I mean, you don't really see him in the limelight.
Yeah.
He
I
kind of
think
stays out of
Stedman at this point knows his lane. He knows his relationship with Oprah. He doesn't worry about the rumors. He's not worried about Gail. You know, he's like, I'm here to stay.
His woman. All right, so that rumor has died down.
It's done. Okay. Stedman's not going anywhere.
All right. What about Jessica Simpson?
You know, that's different. She's with Eric Johnson now, who's a former NFL player. He went to Yale, but right now he's a little in between jobs, you know.
Okay, so
he's looking.
She's doing her thing.
Her line is worth an estimated $1 billion. $1 billion. Jessica Simpson. Cannon and Tuna Jessica Simpson.
No way.
Yes.
What is her secret?
Yes. So, you know, she appeals. Her stuff is affordable. People think she's a girl next door. It sells. You know, Eric is kind of helping her with that a little bit. But, you know, she brings in a lot of money. So pretty much any man she dates is not going to make as much as her.
Right.
So she has to go for the emotional. And I think that's the trend with all of these women is that it's the emotional support and what they're getting from these men, not what they're getting financially.
Okay. And finally, Snooki Polizzi and Gianni.
Snooki and Gianni.
All right, yeah. So what do you think about that? I mean, they're very young.
This is new money. You know, this is
right.
But she's worth, I don't know if a lot of people know that she's worth an estimated $4 million. $4 million. When she first started Jersey Shore, she was making $2,000 an episode. By the last season, she was making $150,000 per episode.
Wow.
So,
and you're only going to get what they're willing to pay.
Exactly.
So they were making bank on her.
They were making money on her. Now she has a line on HSN that sold out within days of being debuted. So she's doing very well. Now he apparently has a t-shirt line. He owns a couple ATMs, but he definitely, you know,
he's not the breadwinner.
Okay. You know, it's a good living, but...
Yeah, really? Is that where you make bank, is having ATM machines?
Yeah, you know.
All right, so I guess on that note, we're going to take a break. Thank you so much. Coming up, who wears the pants in your household? We're taking a quiz to help you find out. That's next. Before the show, we gave our audience a little quiz to find out who wears the pants in their household. All right, so how many of you wear the pants? Mostly women, would you say? Yeah. Well, we thought we would ask our panelists a few questions, and for you viewers at home, we will post the quiz on our website. All right, who pays for dinner at restaurants? No. Not you. That's where you are very traditional.
I'm very traditional like that. I believe when you go out, you know, the man should pay, and then you do other things, you know, maybe. My friends are single.
What do you do today?
We all pay later.
I'll have single friends say, well, what should I do? Should I pay? He paid last time. And personally, I'm old-fashioned like that. No, I don't. I feel uncomfortable with a girl paying like that.
I agree. Men should be chivalrous.
But I said, what you can do is, why not get him tickets to a baseball game or something? Take him to that, or buy him a gift, or, you know, anything to make up. But I'm just not comfortable with the woman paying the bill.
So what's the deal? If the man's the breadwinner, I mean, if the woman's the breadwinner, should the woman, like, give the guy money before and say, take me out to dinner?
No, then why don't you make dinner? I don't know, something. I don't know. I just have a thing about that. That's just my...
And what about you, Nina? You're single, looking for a guy.
Yeah,
do you have a problem if you're having to pay the bill?
Well, yeah, I've heard that it sets a precedent sometimes, so you set a tone in the beginning. So it's tricky because I've tried both ways. I'm like, oh, I'll grab it, no problem. And then it's like it sets the tone later.
Oh, you hear that?
Three dates later, you know you're paying for the lobster dinner. So a little.
All right, let me ask you another one. Who splurges on something for themselves without consulting the other?
I'm bad at that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If it's too big, though, I do consult.
You do? Like, what would be too big?
Well, you know, I mean,
a new car.
Yeah, no, a car, obviously, I would talk to my husband about how much we would spend, blah, blah, blah. You know, but if it's an item that I want, a piece of jewelry, I would talk to my husband. I hint for a while.
Okay.
But then we would talk about it.
All right, what about you guys?
We consult on big items. I've learned that lesson.
Did you make a mistake once and do something without her?
Huge mistake. Yeah, I've always wanted a Jeep, so I got a Jeep without consulting.
And you're like, surprise!
And I was like, isn't it awesome? And she's like, what? Why don't you talk to me about this? And I was like, well, because it's like a guy thing. It's my car. It's a Jeep. I didn't think you'd be interested, and it was a big mistake. So we have conversations about big purchases.
Do you veto a major expense? Would you veto it with your partner? Yes?
Yeah.
As the breadwinner, you're allowed to say, hey, it's not in the budget right now.
But if you're in a partnership, shouldn't you each have veto power?
No, because it's got to be a two-way street. That's why I was wondering, if the woman's going to be the breadwinner and the guy is not going to make any cake at all, money, you got to hook them off.
Go to a cheaper restaurant. You don't have to be like lobster.
This is your mother-in-law.
That's my mother-in-law.
That's Kyle's mother-in-law. Hi, what is your name?
She's a psychologist, Stella.
Hi, Stella. Nice to see you. You want to jump in? What do you want to say?
Well, what I wanted to say that it's not a matter of asking permission, but it's a matter of sharing. I think that it is important, like, for you, if you share with your wife, I want to get a Jeep and I'm going to get a Jeep, so that the person, your partner, feels like
they're a part of the decision-making
relationship. Yes.
Which goes for all relationships. I mean, life happens, things ebb and flow, and you got to be willing to communicate and share.
Did you keep the Jeep?
I kept the Jeep. Yeah, I did keep the Jeep. She ended up liking it a lot, so.
Well, on that note, I want to thank all of my guests for being here today. It was a really, really fun show, fun hour. Nina Parker, Dean McDermott. Check out his new site, thegourmetdad.com. Steve White and Kyle Richards. Bravo's Real Housewives of Beverly Hills airs Mondays on Bravo. Thank you to all of my guests for being here, and thank you for watching. See you next time.